Hello and welcome to Fish Fingers and Custard Explosionomics After Show, where we break down and discuss each and every episode of Doctor Who. This week it's Wish World, synopsis of which was traps are sprung and old enemies unite as the Doctor and Belinda finally arrive home to a very different world. Can the Doctor see the truth before midnight arrives? Written by Russell T. Davies, directed by Alex Pillai. My name's Don Blight, and joining me, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about Seventh Son, the movie starring Jeff Bridges, Julianne Moore, and Ben Barnes, in which it's about a seventh son of a seventh son. His apprentice director. It came out in 2015.
I've never heard this film.
It's not good.
Is that what this reminded you of, or
No, just because they mentioned the seventh. It was the seventh son.
Just because they mentioned the seventh son? Right, I was about to say. So this is based on the book.
Mm.
The Spooks Apprentice.
Yes.
Okay.
But in this one,
Very
they
good.
go like an extra step.
Mm.
In this one, it's the seventh son of a seventh son. This one, they go the seventh son of a seventh son of a seventh son.
Most confusing
Triple
thing
sevens.
ever. Yeah. What did you think of the first of our two-part finale?
Interesting. Just because, obviously going into this, I had the inkling that the way it was going to play out was this week we're going to see the trap that is kind of laid out of what the Doctor's in, and next week will be a matter of him trying to get out of it. And that's pretty much what we got. In a weirdly similar way to what we got last year with the God of Death thing. All the reveals happen at this episode, and then next week we're going to solve it in 1 week. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see. I mean, we have seen like the Doctor not realize his like kind of having a normalish life, I guess, in a way. And
John
then there's
Smith.
is that with the
David Tennant
Fobbosh?
first. Yeah, Fobbosh. John Smith, yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool to see, especially with Shooty's version. And then all this other Conrad stuff going on and craziness. I guess it would help knowing a little bit more about the Rani and that kind of stuff for context and that kind of stuff. But I thought it was a good setup and interested to see how the events of the show play out next week.
Yeah, I think it's hard to judge the episode because it's just there's such a confusing episode where I just don't have answers to
Anything.
most of it. Yeah. So, you watch it, but by the end of the episode, you have nothing because everything.
You're like, man, I hope this all comes together next week.
Mm-hmm. So, it'll be that thing of if next week it wraps up and it's really well done, then you'll look back on this and be like, that was, in a whole
that really
good
helped that episode.
Yeah. But if next week it falls apart or something, you'll be like, well, this is shit and that was shit and the whole finale was shit. But that's the way these things fall sometimes. I think on the Rani, I think just like I still don't know much or barely anything. But I think that's possibly why the catching of Panjabi was so important because she just carries herself with full importance.
Yes.
Like sells this character as someone to be feared straight away, which I think is what you need when bringing back someone that you're trying to tell the audience this is a powerful, important character from classic Doctor Who. If you don't have the actor for it, then it ain't going to work. But she definitely does a good job of giving that. So because this episode is a bit more confusing, I tried to find a proper run through because there's just so much to attempt to make sense of here. So I've got one from Fandom Wire, so shout outs to them. So the episode starts with a horse runs through the woods and arrives at a small cottage. The Rani walks past the local farm into a house where a baby has been born. Rani tells the family that she'll take the baby, and when the husband tries to stop her, Rani turns the family to flowers, ducks, and owls. She tells the baby they have business in the future. So this is the baby she takes that what's his face is raising later. So try and make what's happened here.
Sorry,
what's happened here at the start? How do all these people turn into animals and whatever?
Well, she's kissing the baby and then making wishes that these people would be whatever she kind of is saying.
Yeah. So is that as simple as it is? So
I think so. Yeah.
She somehow knows this baby is the god of whatever wishes, and then she just okay. Simple as that.
clearly she's come from the future.
But then I'm confused because how does the mother not, like, at any point she's thinking, man, I wish we had more money. Like, she's sitting there like caring for her baby. You know?
Yeah, but she didn't kiss the baby and go, I wish I had more money.
So the lesson here is to kiss babies.
Yeah.
Random ones.
Always. That's why all the politicians do it. They kiss the baby and go, how do I win this election? I wish I win this election.
Good point. Very good point. Waking up in bed, the Doctor and Belinda seem to have the perfect life. Their daughter, Poppy, joins them in the room pretending to be a cat. When Belinda turns on the television, Conrad tells everyone there'll be nice weather for all around the globe. So, I mean, the most shocking thing here straight away is just, it's not really that the Doctor's in a world where he's doesn't know he's the Doctor, because we have seen that before. I wasn't like too shocked to see that. We've seen this sort of story happen before. And then as soon as he says his name's John Smith, shortly after this, it just made me think of the classic Master story with the fob watch and all that sort of stuff. But I think just when you realize that you start piecing together so many things that become more relevant throughout the episode once we get to the Ruby stuff and the disabled camp, I guess, that the whole Conrad designing the world, and part of his design is that the Doctor, a character who is definitely not straight, is now straight. And like I think that's helps really sell this right-wing nutjobby character that we'd already been introduced to. But then also Poppy. Why is it Poppy? Why is this baby?
Yeah.
How's all this gonna?
Well, they couldn't they can't create a life, so they pulled a child from somewhere.
And they pulled one from space?
Sure, why not? I'm sure there is a reason.
Again, this is why I've got lots of lots of questions coming next week. But I'm like, why? Like, are we just attempting to tie all these episodes together just so the 2 seasons are all? I don't know. Conrad then frames the Doctor as a coward in a story about Gallifrey. However, Belinda and the Doctor are too focused on Poppy to notice. As the Doctor leaves for work, Ruby Sunday stands on the doorstep. She calls him the Doctor, but he calls himself John Smith. Ruby does not understand why the name John Smith or the existence of Poppy feels wrong, but it causes a fight. Belinda calls the police, telling them someone is expressing doubt. So yeah, they have this thing also where we see it with Poppy and then characters throughout, where every time they express doubt, well, what we see later is like the table glitches out.
Cup goes through the table, yeah.
But it's these cups that go through the table, and everyone has the same coloured cups and problems.
Yes.
And, yeah. So
seems to be a very common thing because their pantry is stocked full of cups.
Also, Mel's living next door, and her bin was just full of mugs as well. Oh no! I was trying to think about this more as I was watching, if there was any sort of like deeper meaning to why it would be mugs or anything, but I'm like, I don't know, I guess it's just a fun way to express it. But I don't know like why the expressed doubt mugs break. I'm like, is there some saying I've never heard about you'll break a mug if you if you doubt yourself, a mug breaks? Or, I don't know.
No, don't know.
Yeah, no. Ruby runs while neighbours Mel and John Smith admire the perfect world. A massive cat skeleton walks through the streets as they look out, and an even larger bone palace looms over the city. John goes to work where he's chastised for calling another man beautiful. Again, another just moment about this quote-unquote perfect existence that Conrad's created, where him expressing any sort of love is like... Like they can't go as far as, because it's still this family show on the BBC, probably allowed. But he basically goes, "You're not gay, are you?" Like, is that the?
Yeah, I think we can gather that Conrad's homophobe.
Yeah. Also,
what a surprise!
The most perfect, I think, subtle. Well, not even that subtle. But did you like the storybook that he's reading about the Doctor and Gallifrey, where it's obviously a rip-off,
obviously based on the Harry Potter. Yeah.
I was like, of course it would be like
the villain of this is really
the
good.
villain is J.K. Rowling behind it all. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Mhm.
I saw people online being like that the author, because it's like I am for men is like how you can space
I
it
am
out.
Foreman.
Yeah, but it's actually an author that they've used before for like History of Gallifrey and stuff. So the joke doesn't go that far, unfortunately. What do you think about all the skeleton things too? Like any significance that there's just skeleton stuff
Nope.
walking around?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, no. Back at home, Belinda's mother and grandmother arrive for tea time. They discuss Belinda's birth, but no one at the table can remember Belinda giving birth to Poppy. Triggered by another broken mug, Belinda sprints out of the house and screams in the countryside.
Mm-hmm.
Conrad tells a story about a lady doctor who survived the death of the Time Lords. John and his workplace grow excited when she flies past his workplace. That was a funny scene. I thought she's like flying around like the witch in freaking. She's flying around like the Wicked Witch of the West in the Yellow Brick Road. What the fuck's that movie? I keep just thinking of Wicked.
The Wizard of Oz?
The Wizard of Oz. Holy shit. Kill me now. Yeah, The Wizard of Oz. That classic little heard of film. Yeah. Goodness me. Johnny's workplace. Oh, hold on. John wonders who she is again, drawing ire from his co-workers. We follow the Rani on a shuttle to the top of the Bone Palace. Mrs. Flood is frustrated with all of the Rani's demands and delivers food to Conrad. He's tired of keeping the world in balance, but Mrs. Flood praises his work. Flood asks how the little one is. They both think the child is amazing, but also terrifying. The child did look terrifying. Little CGI baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
He just chuckles. He doesn't cry. He just chuckles.
Yeah.
That would be pretty scary.
How considering by the end of this episode, obviously we've got another villain introduced that we'll get to, and then the Rani or the two Ranis, and now this like how significant is this baby as the god of wish or whatever going to be?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it seems too powerful to exist in this universe.
Yeah, kill the baby. Next episode is just about trying to kill the baby. Dark turn for this franchise, but. What has to be done, you know?
For the good of all.
Also, is that
or you could just wish that it never existed.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's not killing it.
Is it weird that Conrad, someone who doesn't believe in any of this nonsense and thinks everything's made up about the Doctor and whatever else, that he's now just part of this thing where he knows that this baby, as long as he keeps telling it stories, just making it happen? Like,
as long as he's the hero of the story, he doesn't care.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Perfectly honest.
Yeah. And then I guess the other interesting thing, and I don't know if it'll help in our coming episodes, but the Mrs. Flood Rani, just her annoyance with the new Rani. Do you reckon that'll play any?
Potentially.
I mean, she just seems like the nicer Rani, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems normal-ish, chill. Whereas the other one's hell-bent on her plan.
Yeah, so that's the confusing part, I guess. Where am I? Mr. Flood meets with Mrs. Flood meets with the Rani. I mean, it's the Rani meets with the Rani, but Mrs. Flood is still sore that she bi-generated, and is now serving her former self. The Rani finds the idea that she's Mrs. Flood's child disgusting, so she pushes the conversation toward the Doctor with his thoughts they can help find the one that is lost. Conrad continues his story about the Time Lady, framing her as a hero. Ruby and Shirley remember their previous lives at the same time. Ruby follows Shirley to her home, where those with disabilities have created a shanty town. Every once in a while, they remember the world and doubt this reality. So the whole idea here is that basically all these people, because Conrad doesn't think about them at all, doesn't give an ounce of thought to any of these people with any sorts of disabilities, that they have sort of been unscathed from his wish world thinking. Like they're still affected, but they're seeping through the cracks, and that's why they're all people who keep having flashbacks to the real world and stuff like that. Which I think is, at first I thought they were doing the dumb sort of, you know, or rather on the nose thing of, the disability, like the disabled character suddenly has superpowers and this, you know, sort of thing. But it's not that. It's more that it's more the social story on how people like Conrad and stuff just don't even because they don't even give a single thought to these people that potentially could be used to his downfall here, which is I think easy to understand. Yeah. Ruby explains her doubts and everyone in the circle feels the same. Several know this is something to do with Conrad. The community exists because of his bias against those he deems lesser than himself. Conrad can only control those he thinks are worthy of personhood. In Conrad's story, Time Lady believes that there's a secret from the old days of Gallifrey that can change the cosmos. The Doctor passively watches TV, and the screen flashes past images of his granddaughter, Susan. It stops on a video of Rogue. Jonathan Groff is back, and his former romantic connection tells the Doctor a simple phrase: "Tables don't do that." How that was the one moment I was like, "Oh, Jonathan Groff is back."
Oh, this is very surprising.
Yeah, like so far, it was good to see him. Do you reckon we'll get any more, or this is?
I hope so. You know, maybe he shows up in this season finale based on where we are potentially going, and his appearance here. You know, and maybe a follow-up Christmas special. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be cool. He's definitely a character I feel like everyone really liked.
Yeah.
Would love to see return back again. So, yeah, but that was the moment when he showed up. I was like, oh, that character, Jonathan Groff, yeah. Cool. Belinda wakes to the sound of shattering mugs. She comes downstairs to see John's experiment as the mugs fall through a table. When John brings up the person on the TV, Belinda calls the police about her husband's doubts. I love the whole call, just, hello, police. Yes, my husband's having doubts. Okay. The police arrest the Doctor and Mrs. Flood takes Belinda as well. Belinda only recognizes doubts because she has them too. Ruby, Shirley,
but she recognized someone having doubts earlier in the episode.
Yeah, apparently that didn't count. No, I mean, look, either way, Mrs. Flood was going to arrest her. I think that's
She needed to get out of that palace, you know, do some stuff.
She was ready to throw
get away from the Rani.
Yeah. Ruby, Shirley, and Winnie discuss a plan to find Conrad. If they lure Conrad away from the Bone Palace, Ruby can confront him. Inside, the Doctor and Belinda talk while they have doubts about the world. They do not doubt each other. They are brought to the Rani, who calls him the Doctor. She laughs when he cannot remember and nods to dozens of stories about the Time Lords. Belinda asks them to stop talking about Conrad's stories and begs to return to Poppy. The Rani laughs, telling Belinda Poppy does not exist. Which
no, I think she says it's not your baby.
Yeah, not your baby.
It's not your daughter.
Yeah, it's not actually daughter, yeah. When the Rani and Mrs. Flood reveal their identities, the Doctor's memories flood back. This is Wish World, and the Doctor led to the creation of this world by stirring the gods. Yeah, so the Rani has a whole thing. It's like you've messed with the gods too much, and now you've awoken the baby, basically.
Him messing the gods led to the baby being born.
Correct.
Is the implication.
Isn't it? Yeah. Which, sure. How the Rani knows to go to 1883 or wherever the hell.
She's a time traveler as well, you know?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So he eventually wrote Dizzledrium, the god of wishes, who was born as the baby the Rani stole. She then gave him to Conrad, and the baby is making his wishes come true to create a new world through Conrad's eyes. Because the god was still a baby, the Vindicator helped exponentially increase his power. So that's what all the Vindicator stuff and necessary stuff was about. The Rani then reveals the importance of doubt. With it, one can destroy a world when the things that hold it together are weaker than they appear. Yet it's the Doctor's doubt she was after. His doubt is more powerful and could cut through the earth, helping the Rani see into the underverse. It is here where Omega, the first of the Time Lords, has been stuck for decades. The Doctor remembers everything, but the Rani blows up the balcony he's standing on. He falls to the ground but calls out to the Rani, Poppy is real! As he falls, we see Belinda thrown through the safeguards of the Bone Palace, and the world collapses. on Poppy, Mel, Ruby, Shirley, and Winnie. We are left with a to be continued as the Rani and Mrs. Flood toast to the success. So I did a quick Google. Omega, Time Lord, one of the first three, along with Timothy Dalton's character from whatever his name was, from that arc.
Yes,
the end of time, I think. So Time Lord engineer basically helped create the Time Lord, the time travel technology is the long short of that. But accidentally ended up sending himself to like a different universe, and then eventually breaks free and is now evil because he blames Gallifrey and stuff for anyway. Why the Rani wants him, I don't know. But so obviously the date we know, with Earth blown up all season, Earth doesn't exist, all sort of stuff. Clock just struck midnight, so the Rani just blew up Earth is the implication to get to the underverse of it. Okay. And then so look, at this point, MacGuffin is going to be that they use the baby to wish Earth back, right? I think that's
yeah, absolutely. Something like that.
Yeah. My only worry is, and this is what sometimes they do bad in Doctor Who, literally just brought back a classic Who character, the Rani, about to bring back another classic Who character with Omega. Potentially wrap them both up in 45 minutes to not see them again for a while. Why they do that, I have no idea. But it is something they quite often fall victim to. So what would you like to see them do? I would prefer them to beat them, but we clearly see that those two characters are still out there that could come back and
they have a bigger machinations that they wanted. Yeah. Destroying the planet was just a means to get the engineer
to free
Omega.
Yeah, but not the.
There wasn't the ultimate plan. Yeah,
that's just So that's what I would like to see, rather than the Doctor officially has a showdown and sends them both packing and some locks Omega back up. He's I don't know whatever you know. I don't know. I just I'm keen for next week. It is that thing with Doctor Who finales where quite often it just feel like they bite off more than they're capable of successfully giving me good story for, if you know what I'm saying.
So I also hope Conrad dies.
Conrad dying would be great. I hope Ruby just punches him in the face again or something,
Yeah, something like that, retribution.
Yeah. Any other thoughts before we wrap up?
I do like again, like obviously, this show has not been subtle with its messaging in all these episodes. The idea that the world is destroyed by doubt is very, obviously on the nose and like very true for someone like Conrad. Doubted things that were actually real and thus brought about the end of the world. And a lot of people in this world doubt proven facts and are destroying the world because of it.
That mug just fell through the table. No, it didn't.
Just slipped.
Yeah. So, I would say I've enjoyed most of the social commentary, if you want to call it. I think most of it's been, at least fun for me. Put it that way. All right, that'll do it for this week's episode of Fish Fingers and Custard. Check out explosionhour.com for all other news, reviews, podcasts, and fun things over there. Follow us on Blue Sky at explosionhour.com, Instagram, TikTok at explosionpod. I will be back next week to talk about the finale, which is what is it called? Like the Reality War. There we go. Which they have a synopsis up for now, which just says, battles rage across the skies as the unholy trinity unleash their deadly ambition. The Doctor, Belinda, and Ruby have to risk everything in the quest to save one innocent life. There you go. It'll also be interesting to see if Susan shows up again next week and how that's going to play out. Poppy Susan. There you go. I mean, at this point,
again, they're foreshadowing her with images of her.
Yeah.
Episodes.
Yeah. There's lots to be wrapped up, which is is what we're dealing with. Yeah, everything out there. Well, yeah, I forgot where I was up to. But until next week, have a great week, and we'll be back next week to talk about the finale. Goodbye.